the end of the day, my dad beat y'all to it.
Oh. I started recording. I don't know if they heard that.
That's okay.
All right. Okay. There's actually a lot of California-centric movies out there that center around ninjas and martial arts or dudes hanging out. Kind of like hangout movies. Why am I talking about that? Because we're doing crime movies, and tonight's movie is called The Hunted from 1995. It's a crime movie. We're calling this Heat Wave of crime. We're doing Heat Wave movies all month long. It's crime movies or crime-related movies. But then, this week I got thinking about ninjas because this movie has a lot of ninjas in it. And I was like, how often do we cover a martial arts movie? I'm not sure. But then I thought, in film school, I had this idea. I never got to shoot this, but I wanted to have a movie where the dudes are hanging out, kind of a California-style hangout movie, almost like a Bill and Ted. But then they get interrupted by ninjas, and it's completely random, and the ninjas are never explained. You go the whole movie trying to figure out why. It's one fine ninja afternoon, And
I'm here for it.
And I would never give the audience the answer. It would just be a lot of ninjas and these dudes hanging out. Actually, I heard another comedy that won some useless screenwriting awards because you find out, folks, all screenwriting awards are useless. These because the movie doesn't get made. It costs you money to enter the contests, and I'm just getting bitter now. Anyway, the point about the award was not its uselessness, but had this brilliant idea of and it's crime related too. This was a crime movie, one of only 2 crime movies that I've written, but the a Vic or a hit or whatever gets put on the main character, and so he gets chased down by some ninjas, but they're very specific ninjas because in that story. I wanted to mix Yiddish culture with ninjas, and there was a super squad of yinjas. If you follow me along, instead of throwing shurikens, they're throwing stars, And anyway, okay. I'm walking around a conversation because obviously let's not get canceled within the first 5 minutes of a podcast. But here's the thing, folks. In the early 2000s, cultural appreciation was you could make fun of something and also celebrate it at the same time. Comedy was the vehicle that you delivered cultural messages, and it wasn't to offend people. It was to get the cultural message out there like a Trojan horse. But now, you can't really use that as a vehicle anymore, so tread lightly, folks. It would have been a great thing. It never got made. Whatever. The closest thing I can think of for guys hanging out are martial arts movies, because there's a lot of martial arts movies that take place in Southern California. Here's a couple of random ones. This will pique Jordan's interest. The Vampire Raiders. It's beaches, vampires, and bikinis and ninjas.
Oh my
goodness. The main girl, she's hanging out on the beach in her bikini in one scene, and then she uses her ninja magic, and she turns into a ninja to fight the vampires that were, I don't know, sent loose on her from another set of ninjas. It's a complex movie. You can look it up. It's a B movie, whatever.
That's my 3 favorite things. Bikinis, vampires, and ninjas.
Yeah, it's got bikinis, ninjas, and vampires all in one movie, folks. Go look it up. It's a popcorn hit. And then there's actually a comedy called Surf Ninjas, which actually has a really great martial artist, Ernie Reyes Jr. He's in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. He's in Red Sonja when he was a kid, but he has 25 or 30 years being a martial artist and being in movies. And then Rob Schneider was the comedian sidekick of his in Surf Ninjas.
Okay, come on.
That's a really silly-ass movie. It also has Leslie Nielsen, I guess, who was, from does all the parodies. Yeah. This week I got it right. Remember when I confused him with Liam Neeson? That happened a few episodes ago. If you find it, folks, whatever, gold star.
Gotta watch that one, too.
Yeah. The podcast was made possible by sponsors and viewers just like you. Tonight, we're actually brought to you by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping with our code BWPOD at manscaped.com. More about Manscaped later, but we're going to zip right over to our first segment called Home Video Headlines. My gosh, right before we tell you about the martial arts movie of the week. All right, that's also crime related. Obviously ninjas are doing crimes, or is that like a... what do they call that when you assume something about somebody? What is it called? Stereotyping? Are we stereotyping the ninjas for creating crimes? Right? Not all ninjas are bad, okay? Anyway, home video headlines. Here we go. There's going to be a sequel to the Western Harder They Fall, which came out on Netflix. the director's teasing that they have an idea for part 2, which is really funny because, spoiler alert, most of the lieutenants on either side of the conflict in that movie are dead. So it'll be real funny to see how they come up with a part 2 because most of the gunslingers are dead. But I'll watch it anyway because The Harder They Fall actually jumped pretty high on my favorite Westerns of all time list. It's probably in the top 10. Yeah, it's probably in the top 10. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, this movie sounds really great. Totally Killer sounds totally killer as a plot. Kiernan and Shipka, who you might remember from the Sabrina the Witch Netflix show, and Randall Park, the comedian, they're in a time travel slasher movie in which the teen is going to get stuck in 1987 unless she figures out who the killer is. It's one more of this crop of new slasher movies where they're kind of like really twisting and homaging the slasher genre. I feel like it's right in the category of like the Final Girls, which made fun of like Friday the 13th movies, but then pulled people into the movie. Then, or things like the Groundhog Day killer movie. Instead of being a Groundhog Day, it was like repeating if she didn't find out who the killer was, who kept killing her over and over again in Happy Death Day. Yeah, so stuff like that, like these. They take like what would be a standard slasher A to Z plot, and then they go, let's just mix up this part right here, or drop a little acid in the water and see what happens. You know what I mean? And the makeup of the movie. Anyway, so I'm on board. Looking forward to that movie.
Me too.
The next headline, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned Pumpkinhead. I know Pumpkinhead has come up in conversation on the show probably at least 5 times. Like, I want to say even The Hunted 1995, which we're watching with Christopher Lambert, has been mentioned on the show just as like a staff pick or a previous favorite. Or, I mean, the Highlander talk is going to come up on the show often, folks. It's like right up it's just our bread and butter. It's right there. So anyway, so we've definitely talked about him and his movies. But Pumpkinhead is a really cool monster, I think designed by Stan Winston. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let us know in the comments or email me a nasty email and let me know if I got it wrong. But as a monster, he looks amazing. And it's that old school effects where you're actually building a monster, man in a suit type deal. Or what do you call them? Did you say rubber masks? We had a Planet of the Apes episode.
I did say something like that. Yeah.
I think you called it like a rubber mask plot or I love these rubber mask movies or something like that.
Something like that.
So I'm on board because Pumpkinhead in a 4K sounds great. They previously did like a Blu-ray special. It might have been from Shout Factory. Again, send me corrections if I don't remember who put it out. But it's just a cool concept for a monster. Basically, he's a monster of vengeance. Like, you mix your blood with a magic spell, and he comes out of he come out of a town well or the woods. But basically, he grows the way you would think. Like, he's like an evil pumpkin monster, And he seeks vengeance. It's like an act. What's interesting about the first movie is a group of teenagers and their motorbike accidentally killed a dude's kid. He runs like the local, local general store. Mm-hmm. So the dad is the one who sets the curse loose. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then, like, as his anger starts to subside and he's trying to deal with the grief of losing his son, he's like, oh yeah, probably not the whole group of Airbnbers is bad. Of course, Airbnb wasn't around back then. But anyway, the group of friends, maybe not everyone deserves to die over an accidental death, but of course it's like it's father's grief, sadness versus revenge or whatever, right? And there's a Pumpkinhead 2. I think it's called Blood Wings. I mean, it's a monster that didn't really get his full dues. There's also 2 TV sequels that brings back the dad's character after he's gone. Played by Lance Henriksen. I should probably point that out. Like captain of horror movies, a B-movie actor. He's in some A-list movies now. Lance Henriksen, been on the scene a while. He's in Aliens. He plays Bishop, the android in Aliens. Anyway, I almost did another spoiler alert, and we're like, 10 minutes in? I'm drop spoilers the whole way through.
Movies that he loves, y'all. That's how he spoils them.
Bishop gets ripped apart, and his milky blood spills everywhere in Aliens. Because androids, they're made out of milk, I guess. I don't know. No, they have like some kind of liquid instead of oil. It's like some milky white.
Interesting.
Android blood. That's it. That's home video headlines. That's done already. Look at that. Tonight's movie, the movie of the week, The Hunted, 1995. Here's the plot. I got it from Starz, actually. I like their write-up better than I liked Wikipedia or Google or Amazon. It's a one-liner and it's great. On a business trip to Tokyo, a man witnesses a brutal murder, and now a ninja cult is after him. And since Jordan cracked that open, it reminded me of something. I got to play our theme song.
I was holding it to the theme song. I was like, we're cruising right along. Okay, cannot stop this
Crack open
train.
a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Trying to tell you there, Kimmy Pop, she's an Australian artist. She was saying, crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice. And you know what? Jordan already cracked one open. Mine's already in the cup, so I can't crack it open. But
Yours is way cooler than my Spindrift.
I'm drinking out of my Skull Viking cup, folks, with the helm around the skull. I usually don't crack this open until October, but I'm thinking about October based on some emails I'm getting lately. I won't divulge that yet. It's too early to talk about October, but I will drink out of the skull cup.
We can talk about it a little bit. I've been thinking about it too.
It's around the corner. It's crazy.
Pumpkinhead,
We're still in the summer or whatever. Anyway.
Pumpkinhead is like the name of my favorite pumpkin beer of all time. So I'm feeling super festive.
Is it named after the monster?
Maybe.
It's got to be.
Probably.
We'll have to call them. Who makes it?
Shipyard.
Shipyard. Oh, I know Shipyard. I've seen their pumpkin brand hanging around. Pumpkin ale. So pumpkin good. And everything. Pumpkin spice. Light it up. Wear the sweaters.
If I didn't already feel like a stay-at-home trophy wife drinking my Spindrift, I definitely do now after you mentioning pumpkin spice. So
again, a stereotype. Apparently, the trophy wives are drinking the Spindrift.
Now
sponsored by Spindrift. Just kidding. They're made here in Boston, I think. Ooh. Savage stats. If we have stats about tonight's movie, we'll turn it over to Jordan, who's talking about trophy wives, but we really want to hear whether or not she has stats about tonight's movie. I'm going to shut up now by taking another sip.
I don't have stats. I'm kidding. Okay.
I almost spit my juice on the screen, all over my microphone.
Okay. Sorry. There's lots of stars in this movie. Nice. So I'm going to try to make it through this list pretty quickly. We have Paul, who is Christopher Lambert. He is New York born, raised in Switzerland. He's in The Highlander, Night Moves, Fortress, a lot of B movies, but he is a class, still active. I hear he lives most of his life on a plane. He's bouncing around from place to place, doesn't stay long for more than a couple months. We have Takeda, who is Yoshio Harada. He is a Japanese actor.
Well, you should probably point out Takeda's the character.
He is the character. Yes, and played by Yoshio Harada. He's a Japanese actor, best known for playing rebels in a career that spanned 6 decades. That's a long time. We got
Hold on. Before you move on to the next actor, I just want to say, I love Christopher Lambert. I think I said that at the beginning of the episode, but also the guy playing the samurai who's has suffocating honor that he has to deal with and crippling honor towards the end of the movie is known for playing rebels in Japanese film. Isn't that an interesting contrast?
Yeah, it is definitely very much of a contrast. Yeah, because he is the main, antagonist in this one.
Honor bound to have to deal with the ninjas. Got a family curse. Spoiler alert. All right, keep going. Sorry.
We have John Lone as Kinjo. He is in Bernardo Bertolucci. Bertolucci. That's a name right there. The Last Emperor as the Last Emperor. So he plays the Last Emperor in that. And then we have Joan Chen, an actor and director still, who plays Karina, the ill-fated beauty in the movie. Absolutely stunning woman.
Yeah, an ill-fated mood. She keeps coming in dream sequences. At one point, even the bad ninja, Kinjaro, or Kinji, whatever you said his name was.
Kinjo.
Yeah, Kinjo. He even has nightmares about her. The dreams that, I don't want to, it's so early We're not even at favorite bits. I can't describe the character. The character haunts them throughout the movie. I'll just leave it there. Okay.
Good way to put it without divulging too much of the bits, And then we have Lady Takeda, or Miko, who is the wife of Takeda, who is played by Yoko Shimada. She's best known to Western audiences for her portrayal in Mariko, which is Lady Toda Buntaro in the 1980 miniseries Shogun. So that's the list of actors and what they're also known really well for. Most of this movie was shot in Vancouver, but parts of it were actually filmed in Japan, very much like the bullet train scene, that the outside of the bullet train scene is still shot in Japan. So save a little bit of money by doing it in Vancouver. Lots of things that stay true as well to some of the actual authentic weapons used. Quite a long list, so I won't go through those, but there was a version that was cut by 12 seconds to remove a lot of the footage of Japanese throwing stars. The cuts were waived in 2001, but the UK Criminal Justice Act of 1988, which is around offensive weapons, had 7 of the 14 weapons banned in this act, which are stereotypically used by ninjas. But they are pretty authentic to ninjas in general. So even the very particular type of throwing star, I noticed. I can keep going. I got all the facts.
I thought you were going to mention that one of the reasons they enforced that act around this movie and cutting, I guess all martial arts movies into the UK in the 90s while the act was still enforced, including the popular TV show Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which they had to change to Teenage Hero Turtles or something.
Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Yeah. That's actually a tongue twister to say.
And because they were like, this includes influencing children with these offensive weapons. That was one of the majors. Anyway, we'll be right back with our favorite bits after these messages. Attention fantasy football fanatics. As draft season approaches, don't neglect the most important draft pick of all, your game balls. We all know how injuries can ruin a season, so let Manscaped take care of that Reggie Bush of yours with their skin-safe technology. This should guarantee you have a smooth ride into the playoffs. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with their Performance Package 4.0, and it's time for you to do the same. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for the kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with our code BWPOD at Manscaped. You know what's funny? It's before I discovered Manscaped and started using their products, I would use hair remover in the shower, right? And you're supposed to remove it at a certain time. If you don't, you get chafed. Well, Manscaped came to the rescue because they have this anti-chafing ball deodorant stuff, which was my only rescue after this disaster with the hair remover. But that's not the story, so I don't want to go into details about exactly what happened in the shower. That's not this podcast. All right. Anyway, inside their Performance 4.0 package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which I highly recommend, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag. Slotted quarterback, Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, and even your A gap. You can, use your imagination to figure out what I mean by A gap. Don't forget to use the Crop Preserver ball deodorant and their ball reviver to help your little bench warmers be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts for their Performance 4.0 package, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. So who's the commissioner now? Remember, you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BWPOD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code BWPOD at manscaped.com. It's time to put the PP back in PPR and get a grip on your pigskin this season with Manscaped. It's already in progress. We've arrived at our favorite bits for this evening about The Hunted 1995. If you're following along, it's a movie filled with ninjas and their beef with the samurai and the American caught in between the samurai and the ninjas. Favorite bits, Jordan Savage, what do you got?
So many ninjas.
I thought you were going to say so many bits, but she said so many ninjas.
I say so many bits like every single movie, but it is also still true. There was a lot of bits that I loved.
And bits flying through the air. There's a lot of slashing and hacking.
There is. There's a lot of gore in this one, which I definitely enjoyed. To start, okay, I want to try to explain this pretty good. So when Racine is in the hospital because he's been injured by the main villain,
Paul
is his name. Paul Racine. They refer to him
with his first name. Yeah, but he's named after a French poet or something.
Something
Paul
like
Racine.
that.
But he's a New York businessman.
Kinjo is the main villain, right? And he got him right after he had
an accident, like wrong time, wrong place, wrong time, or whatever. Like
definitely, right?
So basically, he. So I guess we should set the backstory a little bit.
So much backstory.
It's like the New York businessman just closed a huge deal on microchips for computers with a Tokyo distributor or something or manufacturer. So the guys are like, let's go party. He's like, no, I'm just gonna go to the hotel bar, have one drink, go to sleep. But then he gets I don't want to say seduced because it's a dirty word. There's a mutual seduction between him and a woman at the bar, and slowly the movie teases us the fact that she's got nothing to lose because she knows she's marked for death, and she's trying to not drag him into her own assassination that she knows is coming, right? And he's kind of like fish out of water, right? Because he doesn't know how to translate what's going on. He also doesn't know that ancient ninja clans and they got beef and they get paid by taking hits out or whatever, right? So he accidentally, spoiler alert, witnesses her getting murdered, and he's marked for death because you're not allowed to see the face of a ninja leader, apparently.
No.
And then go right back into your bit.
Well, and so he he gets got, sort of. He didn't get the final got, but he gets got and he's in the hospital. And so he's trying to escape and then ninjas find him. And I did like that it was a little bit of a classic tale of don't bring a gun to a knife fight. What's the saying? Don't bring a knife to a gun fight.
Ninjas?
But unless it's ninjas, which actually the gun, kind of saves him in this one specific scene, but it kind of gets brought back on the train scene when Takedo is fighting all the ninjas. He stops Paul from using the gun.
Well, again, his honor is slipping into madness, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it the traditional
his way." Yeah,
exactly.
No guns. And
he risked everybody on the train to try to settle this beef with the ninja.
Oh, didn't he? And that was truly my favorite part. And I liked how long it was. It was long in a good way. It was the entire train scene. I love that it starts off with the ninjas. They're actually in these really cute, tennis sweaters, and then they hijack the train, and then it gets all absolutely
their pale
bloody.
Uniforms are getting more and more red as the more victims they rack it up. Yeah.
Before they changed into the pale beige ninja uniforms, they were in disguise.
Well, the movie has a sense of humor. There's one-liners.
It's so good. Yeah. In my other favorite part was the drunken sword maker. So funny that him and Paul create this bond. And I love how he tricked Paul into carrying all of his water up the mountain.
And I think that line was improvised because Christopher Lambert has a good sense of humor, and I think he snuck one in because I think they're just carry the coal up the mountain into the shop, and I bet you he's this is too much dead time, and he slips in I'm not a donkey.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
The drunken sword maker was just one of my favorite.
That's a classic trope from a lot of these samurai movies that there's always, and it goes back to Toshiro Mifune, who played a drunken samurai in Seven Samurai. There's this whole thing of the wise guy's also a fool, right? He's a mentor, but he's foolish, but he's got secret knowledge, right?
Yeah, I feel I've seen that kind of be a trend in movies that are similar. Yeah.
I wanted to go back and say about the train sequence, the main samurai, Takeda or whatever, he's very he's a surgeon though. He plans the fight on the train so well and uses each car to kind of even the playing field with the ninjas based on the way the ninjas fight.
Right.
And like level the playing field. But then again, like, I don't know if it's his pride or his ego or the fact that it's a movie plot. Yeah, I think it's the plot of the movie because, you know, Paul is the hero, obviously. So they kind of write out the samurai later and he makes a lot of mistakes. And obviously, spoiler alert, the main samurai dies. And of course, Paul's going to take up the samurai's sword. Naturally, it's the third act of the movie. He's got to fight the lead ninja. That's the whole point, right? But to mentioning the drunken sword maker is he teaches him a technique that nobody's probably using. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, by the way, here's a 150-year-old sword technique that everybody forgot about. And if you use this, it's going to help you with the final fight. You know, like, anyway, I digress. I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just excited about these elements we're talking about. Anyway.
I mean, talk about the, like, what is his name? Kinjo's, like, right-hand woman on the train. Again, going back to what you said, is like no one can see the face of the ninja.
Yeah, his ninja girlfriend is like a He-Man villain, you know, like Evelyn or like, yeah, she's more like a cardboard cutout. I didn't like her very much. Yeah, she's kind of one note. She's just like a psychopath.
Yeah, she is. She is one note, and she is a psychopath. It's like, but then for her to just remove her own face on the train because she
although we almost had a ninja three-way actually with that lady and the handmaiden. I don't know. I guess the ninja lords still have handmaidens that come and bathe them. I don't know because somebody walks in to bathe the ninja leader, but then she's also there, like, you know, pumping him up for the fight on the train.
Yeah, right? This was a bit of a saucy movie at some times. If you're like me and you like to watch some of these movies multitasking, this is not one to put on while you're at the gym. So FYI.
Yeah, we forgot something else too. I was going to say James Sato is in this movie. I don't know if he's one of the ninjas or the samurais or he's playing the drunk sword maker. I couldn't find him in the movie, but he will go on to play Shredder in Turtles, which we mentioned earlier. And also there's another actor who's like the lieutenant who plays Tatsu. I don't know what the actor's name is. Like, again, sorry if we're butchering these names. I wish we could say them the proper. But anyway, Shredder's lieutenant from the Turtles movies in this movie too. He actually, remember that beef where the two ninjas screw up and the ninja leader's like, if you can beat me, you take over?
Yes.
The guy that handed the ninja leader the sword, the bald dude. Well, there's so many bald samurai. What are you going to say? Like so many bald ninjas.
Yeah.
like anyway, they cameo in this movie, folks. So if you're hardcore Turtle fans, they're in here anyway. And I've stepped over all her bits because I'm just too excited. It's obvious.
I love it when the bits are tangled. They're tangled.
The tangled bits. Hilarious.
Tangled bits.
The forehead sweating. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. Any other bits that stood out to you that we didn't already talk about?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, there were some zingers, some one-liners. Like at one point, the samurai leader goes, "I need the best sword you ever made." Which is kind of on the nose. Like every one of these movies has like, oh, we got to make a better sword, or we need to get the magic sword, or we got to make the hero sword now. But the way he delivers it, it's pretty spot on. He goes, "I need the best sword you have ever made." And you believe it. You don't always believe it when that happens in these movies, but in this one, you freaking believe it. Then the ninja leader later on, because like the samurai risks everything he has. He's got like some kind of island estate where he's training other samurais, and then like the estate's in shambles. It's on fire. All the samurai are dead. And the ninja leader's like, "Hey, idiot samurai, I don't fight for honor. I fight to win." And you're like, dang.
Yeah.
Dang. Like, and then, but you think about like how many battles each warrior has in their heart. Like the samurai was like a real showman on the train. But then by the time you get to the island, he's like, "I can't repeat the action on the train. We've compromised everything. Everything we believe in has been compromised." And it's sad. So, you know, based on his pride or his foolishness, or
he's a little jaded.
But he is saying, like, throughout the movie, he makes a couple comments, like he actually can't handle the baggage anymore, that he's having like a nervous breakdown. And then he mentions a couple times that he felt like he had a family curse, like they're like an honorable samurai family, but then bad things happen to them along their history or whatever. And he's got like some personal beef with the ninja clan. And then Paul knows he gets lucky, but his only objective through the whole movie is just stay alive, man. Just stay alive. One of the best sequences actually is in a pachinko hall, which is like a gambling hall. It's these little electronic games that kind of look like tiny pinball machines, but they kick out beads. which I guess players would turn in for money or prizes, but not officially because it's like illegal in Japan. You can't gamble. I don't know if gambling's still illegal. It seems like gambling would be like right up there with the ninja lifestyle, you know? Who knows? And people, if you see me turn my head and look off to space, I'm just thinking. I notice in these videos, I often like my head is tilted, and it's because I'm just trying to like bring the movie up in my mind. You know what I mean? Like replay it in my mind so I can make my point. I love those two lines. You know, when I saw this movie the first time, it was like old school way of flipping through channels, and the train sequence is what I saw first.
So cool.
So I didn't know who the characters were. I recognized when I saw Christopher Lambert come out from behind the bar where he was hiding. Because, first of all, I'm not going to diss on him. He's already wounded, folks. Like, this guy. True. He's also poisoned. I should probably bring it up. Like, for more than half the movie, he's trying to get over toxins that were introduced through one of those Shuriken ninja stars. So he's still fighting ninjas with no training. Actually, now it's stacked against him because now I'm saying, like, it couldn't possibly happen. Because he has no training, doesn't know what the hell is going on, and he's been poisoned. You know what I mean? Like, the reality of whether he gets out of the hospital alive.
It was really funny, though, when he crawls out from behind the bar car. I was like, oh, he's missed all the action.
The whole sequence.
He's just, just chilling there. But he's also, like, near death. So.
But the sequence in the train is, like, pretty historic. It's probably not as popular as some other action movies on trains, or, like, there's a hallway sequence in a movie called Old Boy, which is up the alley of like crime movies. It's getting re-released in theaters, I think, this month. But in Old Boy, there's a sequence where, and that's a Korean movie. It's not necessarily martial arts, but it is action and crime, where the hero is stuck in a hallway and he fights his way through a crowd of men with a hammer. And what I'm suggesting, folks, is the train sequence in The Hunted 1995 is on par with the hammer sequence in the hallway in Old Boy. If you disagree with me, let me know. I don't care.
Oh, this is one that we talked about in, home video headlines a couple weeks back, right?
Yeah. That Old Boy was coming back around. I'm also bringing it up because people are probably like, why aren't you covering Old Boy? Mm-hmm. It can fit, folks, but we're trying to, shine a light on some of these movies that you may not have come across. It should be in your purview. Anyway. That's it for favorite bits, I think. I love those two lines. I love the train. I'm pretty happy in the Christopher Lambert movies. And people are like, what's one more thing I can watch? I've seen The Highlander. I've seen Southland Tales, where he's a gun trader in a sci-fi movie. I'm like, okay, go watch. You seen Fortress? Yeah, I saw Fortress. Okay, well, have you seen The Hunted 1995? And people are like, what is that? Most people haven't seen it. Anyway, the ratings. On this show, we've created a system where we say binge now, which means you got to watch it right away, move it to the top of your playlist. Binge later means get around to it. It's cool, but it doesn't have to be the next thing you watch. Or binge never, which means you can't get the 2 hours of your life back while you waste your time on this movie. Where do you land, Jordan?
It was a binge now. It was a binge now.
She really dragged that out in suspense for half a second. I think my heart didn't beat. I think you had me clog up a valve.
Yeah, right.
In the suspense.
No, it was a binge.
Yeah, right. You know, it's possible to have a seizure and black out for a millisecond.
Yeah, it was a binge now for sure. Like, super good. Yeah, super
Samesies, no conflict. Move on past the segment, folks, because there's no drama here tonight.
I'll fight.
We love ninjas. Okay. Binge now. Move it to the top of your list.
So good.
Let's see. Oh, fan service. Musicals. Somebody asked me about musicals. I don't know if we could do musicals for a whole month. It doesn't really fit the show necessarily, although I have said in the past, I love The Greatest Showman. We have mentioned musicals on the show, but I feel like if it's musicals in our type of show, it'd be like Cannibal the Musical or Repo Man, which is about made by the Saw people, but they're singing in that movie. It'd have to be something dark, like there's an episode of Buffy that's a musical, right? There has to be something twisted or exploit. She's wearing a Buffy shirt right now. Didn't even notice that until we started talking about it. Anyway, it's in the zeitgeist, folks. Also, with Greatest Showman, it's like they tell a great story about an entrepreneur. There's magical moments in the movie. Giving rights to the circus people is cool. However, they're really stretching the truth because a lot of terrible things happened at the real circus in real life. So it's not the movie's not a documentary. It's definitely a fantasy for sure.
Fantasy for sure.
But the one thing a musical has to do is have good music, and surprisingly, the songs are amazing, and they make you forget that other horrible stuff. Anyway, so will we do a whole month of musicals? It's a possibility, but it ain't happening right now because we're talking about crime and ninjas.
And ninjas.
That was a long pause. On purpose. It was dramatic. I did it. Okay. Now, where are we at? Oh, if you want to watch tonight's movie, I will kick our Starz affiliate link in the show notes, and you can sign up to do like whatever the Starz offer is. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's for so many months. But anyway, you'll get to see The Hunt in 1995 and everything else that's on Starz right now. Staff picks. If you watch something that isn't the movie of the week that you need to recommend to the audience, got anything, Jordan?
I watched a rom-com that I'd never seen before.
Romcoms.
And it's funny because you mentioned movies that were made back in the day to be funny that just probably wouldn't land very much anymore. Yeah, but it was the God, what's the title? It has Dax Shepard in it, Dane Cook, Employee of the Month with what's her name, Jessica Simpson. It was so cute. Yeah.
The one of the two movies that Jessica Simpson is in. I don't even know the other one, but this one's this one's a standalone. Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzards. That's the other one.
Is that the other one? The remake of Dukes of Hazzard.
But man, does this make me want to go to Costco right now and get a freaking hot dog with some relish and some onions on it and a churro. Oh, so bad. But yeah, it was super cute. What about you? Did you watch anything?
There's a better one. Dane Cook, almost all the movies he stars in were rom-coms when he was at the top of his game, right? And also the kid from Jason Biggs is in a movie with him. Not in that one, but in this other one. And that's the one where he's like, what does he do? He is paid to help other men. Is that what it is? To be better at their relationships or something like that. And then he falls in love with his best friend's pseudo fiance or fiance or something. And dang it, I can't think of her name, but she's in there too. Goldie Hawn's daughter. Dang it. And she plays
Kate Hudson.
Yeah, Kate Hudson. She's in the movie.
Yeah.
I think she plays the romantic lead in that. And anyway, that's good too. But I love these movies where they're about business development or people that work in retail or something like that.
Yeah, freaking Waiting is so good. Dane Cook is in that one.
I love service movies.
Yeah.
But I started watching, do you know about Telemarketers on Max? Which used to be HBO, but now it's Max, right? Or HBO/Max still, because people are like, what's Max? So Telemarketers is literally about that. It's about like one of the most scrupulous, infamous telemarketing firms. They're the ones that were behind like all the associations. Like when you get a phone call, like, hey, donate to the such and such, this police department or that fire department or that state assembly or like state agencies or whatever. And we'll send you a sticker. But I guess it was during the days of absolute lawlessness and very little FCC regulations in these telemarketing firms. Okay, why do I love it, folks? I used to work in an office space. I used to have to make sales calls. I was a telemarketer. A lot of people I know are telemarketers. It's the only job for a millennial that's out there. You leave college, you go work in an office. You're selling things, real estate. I don't know. You're selling motivational packages. There's what's that? Damn it. I'm trying to think of this what is it called? Dang. One of my favorite shows, I can't think of it. Workaholics. Workaholics is about a telemarketing environment that's really funny. One of my favorite shows. Anyway,
so funny.
I just like the idea of salesmanship and marketing and characters that do all this stuff. But this particular, you almost have to see this docuseries because you don't believe that a telemarketing firm could exist without such regulations like this. It's pretty gnarly. This is one of those places where they're not doing background checks. They're not doing criminal employee checks. So they're hiring cons, and the cons are bringing in, drugs and all kinds of stuff at all hours while they're making their sales calls, or their donation calls. It ties in with the theme of the month, folks. So go see the action on that on Telemarketers. What else is going on?
What'd you watch? Anything?
That's what I mean. I started watching Telemarketers.
That's the one.
Cool. Yeah. They premiered it recently. So, so we have the Nice Guys coming up, which is like a team up between Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe in a seedy, like noir mystery movie, but it has a lot of color. The color, I'm saying, like the palette is very colorful, even though it's like a gritty noir story. And these like private detectives get caught up in a mystery involving both the porn industry and the auto industry and where they collide, which you wouldn't think they would collide, but in this movie they do. And it's good. It's funny. It's action packed, and it's very, very grimy. Everything Jordan said earlier that she loves. So it's perfect. That's what we're doing next week. Tune in for that. Again, we're supported by sponsors and viewers like you. What does that mean? If you love the show, make a small donation. There's a link to click. We'll keep making content. We'll kick it out every week. And, if the podcast is back next week, we'll continue the heat wave as, I don't know. I was going to say as this hot month winds down, but we actually have we have nothing but like an accelerated train towards B-movie heaven because we go from the heat wave of crime movies into Weird September, which is some of the weirdest movies we can find. And then we're in feel goods, right? This year is like, where'd it go? Fast tracked on the podcast. Anyway, come back next week. We'll have a podcast for you. I probably won't be drinking out of a skull cup, but did it for tonight anyway.
Bring it back. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't got anything else. Ninjas. There's so many movies with ninjas. Did I make my point? I think so.
I think so.
Last, my brother was like, "Are you guys still making podcasts?" Well, you'd know if you were watching or listening. We're still here.
Yeah.
Insert generic comment. Actually, have you seen the episode of The Office where Daryl is like, "Hey, why don't you just record a bunch of these reactions and use them later?" And he's just like, "Wow, he or she has really gotten themselves in a predicament," right? Then later on, they replay the clip. So anyway, before the ending song, I said something very generic because I couldn't think of an ending. And then I teased my brother. Why not? That's it. It's a Monday night. I'm wearing a very 90s shirt. We talked about a 90s movie.
It looks great.
I made a note that Jordan only wants the goriest and the seediest and the...
Rude. Gore, babes, and cars. That's all I could ask for.
She's lobster red right now. Or lobster red.
Hey, it's just my tan doesn't come through on the camera well, okay?
She claims the tan is not coming through the webcam.
I tried to cancel it out with the green light, but this is what you get, guys. Take it or leave it.